The Magnetism of Enlightenment. Welcome to the show. Today, we're going to delve into a fascinating document, a dialogue about bodhicitta, taken from Bodhicitta Ganlu Fajong, The Nectar of Bodhicitta. You'll hear the masters and disciples use some vivid metaphors, like a magnet and nectar, to discuss this awakening mind and how it transforms the way we see the world. Our goal is to extract the essence of wisdom from this dialogue. Let's begin. The core of our discussion is bodhicitta, which is not just a wish for oneself and others to awaken. It's described as an inner energy with actual transformative power. There's a metaphor in the dialogue that I found quite interesting. Bodhicitta is like a good magnet that can absorb and transform all harmful iron hooks and locks. This sounds like the awakened mind, like a magnet, has the ability to transform the things that bind us, doesn't it? Yes, that's exactly right. However, the emphasis here isn't on destructive harm, but on a change in nature. It's like a strong magnet that approaches a piece of ordinary iron. It can make that iron also magnetic, right? Similarly, a person with bodhicitta, full of the power of enlightenment, can positively influence those around them, helping them transform deeply ingrained wrong views, greedy desires, or ignorance. These things originally trapped people like hooks and chains, but under the influence of bodhicitta, their binding power weakens or even disappears. So, this is like what we often say, spending time with wise people can subtly influence us for the better. The text mentions examples like the heavenly maiden in Vimalakirti's house or the Buddhist disciples, where they refined by being under this magnetic force for a long time. Exactly. That's absolutely correct. This is what's called you become like those you associate with. Being within the sphere of influence of an awakened being definitely helps cultivate and solidify this inner magnetism of awakening. The dialogue even cites examples like the woman Vasumitra, saying that those who approached her immediately distanced themselves from greed. This shows that the power of such transformations can sometimes be very direct. This need for transformation is also related to how we perceive the world. The document mentions that we often see worldly things as too real, too fixed. Because of this, attachment arises, which then brings suffering. For example, having a preference for certain foods, but eating too much leads to high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and so on. How is this related to bodhicitta? This hits the core point. The central idea is that the nature of all worldly phenomena is constantly changing, not permanent. This is what's called illusory birth and illusory transformation, when we mistakenly believe them to be fixed and eternally real. When the sense of inherent existence is strong, attachment arises and suffering follows. And bodhicitta, this awakened mind, is precisely what helps us see this truth clearly. The text even uses a rather strong phrase, lack of culture is truly terrifying, to describe this lack of understanding. It also contrasts humans with animals and insects, like chickens and ants, saying that in some basic virtues, we are even inferior to them because we are often blinded by our own afflictions and self-righteousness ignorance. Lacking a deep appreciation for the interdependence of all things, this is quite thought-provoking. Yes, it truly reminds us that true wisdom is not just the accumulation of knowledge. It is also an insight into the true nature of reality and the humility and compassion that arise from this insight. Recognizing the impermanence of all things and how they are interconnected and interdependent is precisely the foundation for developing bodhicitta. This awareness can help us let go of many unnecessary self-attachments and afflictions. Besides the magnet, the dialogue also compares bodhicitta to nectar, saying that once you drink it, all things cannot harm you. What does this mean? How does it offer protection? In Buddhism, the term nectar is often used to symbolize the Dharma itself. It can nourish our wisdom life and extinguish the flames of our afflictions. So, the metaphor here means that when bodhicitta truly arises within your heart, it's as if you've drunk this nectar. At this point, worldly afflictions, temptations, or even smaller spiritual goals that only seek personal liberation, like the practitioners of the Shrivaka and Pratyeka paths, who focus more on their own liberation. These things can no longer truly harm or obstruct you. This is because your mind already has a broader compassion and wisdom as its backing. Therefore, this awakening can bring a very deep inner peace and strength, allowing one to face even birth, aging, sickness, and death with more equanimity. The text mentions that the body is merely a tool temporarily used for the benefit of sentient beings, as long as you let go of your attachment to it. Just like dropping a burning hot coal from your hand, suffering naturally disappears. Once you understand impermanence and non-self, you can fundamentally break free from the shackles of fear and affliction. But the prerequisite is that you must be willing to let go of that hot coal or even ice that you're holding tightly. That is, our greed, our anger, and all kinds of attachments. You need to empty your hands first to truly touch the cool nectar of the Dharma. Well, our exploration this time shows us that bodhicitta is not just a concept. It's depicted as a very powerful energy. Like a magnet, it can transform its surroundings. Like nectar, it can bring inner peace. The Course seems to lie in seeing through the changing nature of worldly affairs and letting go of unnecessary attachments. So, what insights has all of this given you? I think this content actually invites us to reflect on what those iron hooks and locks are that we cling to in our lives, those deeply ingrained views, desires, and patterns that cause us distress. Are we willing to actively seek out people and things that can inspire our wisdom? Like drawing close to a magnet? Yes. Finally, I'll leave you with a thought. The dialogue mentions that sometimes, due to a lack of enlightenment and certain virtues, humans are less simple than some other beings. So, in your own daily life, is there any habit or belief that you take for granted, but which might actually be a form of ignorance that needs to be illuminated by the light of awakening? This might be a question we can take with us and ponder deeply